Rolling. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Ellen. Welcome to my new series, Sex and the Relationship. As the title suggests, this will be a series of videos where I talk about, guess what? Guess again? Yes, sex and the relationships. I have been wanting to do this for a long time, even though years ago the original idea is written column format. I want to do this not because I am an expert or I feel I'm superior or more experienced than anyone else on this subject. Instead, I want to do this because I feel this will always be a personal struggle for me. Like, I can totally imagine myself as an 80-year-old woman still with relationship issues. So whatever I am going to say in the future videos, it purely represents my personal view and it's purely based on my personal experience. So there's absolutely no need to take me too serious. In terms of the format of this series, I also hope to keep it fluid, which means there will be no fixed structure or fixed cadence. So in some episodes, maybe I will zoom into some specific subject. I actually have written down a potential list of topics. For example, does size matter? What size? The cultural difference between West and East. That's a very diplomatic way of saying it. Financial imbalance in a relationship. How to swipe efficiently. Is blowjob a must? Not in my opinion. Age difference. Do you really want to know me? The morning after. Very sexy topic. Can we still be friends? Is workaholic dateable? How to break up graciously, etc, etc. In some other episodes, I could be also focusing on a specific person if I feel that story is worth telling. Oh my god, maybe I could even invite a guy that I date or have dated or is dating to, you know, just come and argue with me. I doubt I will find someone who's willing to do that, but let's see. So, without further ado, let's get the show started.
Let it go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this whole wide world over.
Are we all ready? For the first episode of this series, I think I would just jump straight into one of the most controversial topics, which is also often the first hurdle one has to jump over in the complicated course of dating. And that is, who should be paying in the first few dates?
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the middle with you. And I'm wondering what it is I should do. It's so hard to keep the smile from my face. Losing control, yeah, I'm all over the place. Clowns to the left, jokers to the right.
I'm kidding. Who am I kidding? Of course it should be the guys paying. And as a feminist, I miss those days. I gotta admit, I've come a long way and my dating experience is, let's say, quite prolific. And back in the middle of the last decade, when I just started using Tinder, I didn't really give it that much thought when the bill would come and usually the guy would just automatically pay that up.
Try to make some sense of it all, but I can see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? You know, think that I can
But fast forward to today, when everyone seems to be so damn woke overnight and the traditional alpha male type seems to be a species in danger. Every time at the end of the date, when the tray holding the bill was approaching our table, my heart rate would just accelerate as I was drumming in my mind to come up with a strategy. At that brief moment, I was usually wondering, should I put on the awkward performance of slow motionally reaching for my bag? Or should I just sit still as if patriarchy is the only reality I ever know? Would my suggestion of splitting the bill completely ruin the sexy and flirtatious vibe? Or would my lack of action at that moment severely undermine the wobbling progress of feminism? Let me lay out some facts first. I am a feminist, or whatever. I mean, I think it's ridiculous to have to declare that, but yes, I am. And financially, I am pretty comfortable. At 34, if I'm looking at guys in the similar age group, often I will be making similar income or sometimes even more. And sometimes less, of course. I mean, no matter what kind of high-end place we end up at or how many bottles of champagne we pop, economically, I am more than happy and comfortable to pay for my share of everything. And for a long time, I thought I have a pretty clear principle to deal with this, which is if I like a guy, by like I mean if I'm sexually attracted to him, then I will give him the pleasure of playing on the first date. Because everyone knows money is part of the sexual dynamic, and since I like him, I will be happy to give him that temporary dominating power over me. Vice versa. If it's very clear that I don't like this guy, I will also insist on splitting the bill because it's important to send the right message.
And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like I love you. I can see.
But in reality, things are increasingly more complicated than this simple rationale. The economics of modern dating, especially in the first few dates, is a delicate dance that takes an evolving intelligence to manage. For example, I have met guys who are so used to paying for everything that they would act genuinely surprised or even shocked, offended when I offered to split the bill or reciprocate. Last year, I dated a guy who appeared to live a pretty luxurious lifestyle. He lives in JW Marriott and he drinks his cocktail as if they are lemon juice. So when it was our second or third date, we went for a brunch together, and during the brunch he only had 3 cocktails, which is the minimum I have seen. So in my mind I was like, this is my opportunity to pay, I gotta seize it. So when the bill came, I jumped on it. He was like, are you sure about that? I can tell he really find that unbelievable, and he told me, I can't remember when was the last time a woman buy me a meal. But at the same time, I have also met guys who would ask me for my half of the taxi fee when we were actually taking taxi to his place, and the amount on the meter was only 40 Hong Kong dollar. What I'm trying to say is, it's just almost impossible to always do the right thing if we measure a modern woman's paying manner based on what the man expected. That said, I do recognize the need to introduce more nuance into my paying strategy. And that nuance will first come from the ability to gauge a guy's financial condition. If, for example, if the guy that I'm dating is so obviously filthy rich, because this type of guy, they will usually make sure you have heard about their multiple properties, their yards, their skiing vacations, all in the first 30 minutes of the date. then yeah, of course I'm not paying shit. Because I am not stupid. And no, I don't believe that's a betrayal to feminism. Instead, I think I was playing an active role in closing the gap between rich and poor in the world.
You don't own me. Don't try to change me in any way. You don't own me. Don't tie me down, 'cause I'd never stay. I don't tell you what to say. I don't tell you what to do. So just let me be myself.
But of course, filthy rich people are, after all, just a minority. And for most other people, it's usually not too hard to have a ballpark guess of their income level based on their occupation. There are plenty indicators you can find online, such as Glassdoor, which I personally am a frequent user. And other than online research, there are actually a lot to be told from the small details about how cost-conscious someone is. Recently, I went on the first date, and on my way to where we agreed to meet, which is, I would say, pretty economic bar, a cocktail there cost about 60 Hong Kong dollar. On my way there, I got a text from him, and for some reason he was telling me, and I quote, "If we somehow find a table inside, your first drink is on me," unquote. Interesting. Your first drink is on me. It sounds like a pretty generous thing to say, doesn't it? But what's left out of this sentence but clearly implied is either this is a one-drink date, or he means from the second drink onwards, I am on my own. I mean, does it mean like we're gonna need a calculator when the bill comes? Like, okay, first drink is on you, so yeah, let me deduct that, and then divide the rest by 2, and then I will pay that amount, and then you will pay this plus the first drink. I mean, of course, in the end, I didn't take that first free drink. How could I? Jokes aside, generally, after the due diligence, if I have a good reason to believe I might have a financial upper hand between the two of us, there is a much bigger chance that I would just suggest splitting, because that would just make things easier. So the one last nuance to add to this formula is the final amount of the meal. I live in Hong Kong, so take Hong Kong for example. If the final bill of the meal is, say, over 300 Hong Kong dollar per head, then while I would observe the intention of the guy, I would definitely move quicker in reaching for my wallet. So to summarize, the final paying strategy is dependent on a number of factors. Number 1, do I like him or not? Number 2, your best guess at the answer of this question. Is it possible that I make more than him? Number 3, the final amount of the bill.
I'm sorry.
Complicated, isn't But how I wish things are as simple as that. Even with such a robust formula in place, it's still likely that I will miscalculate and find myself in pretty regrettable situations. There are definitely meals where I might have overplayed a wait and see move when the air was already very thin and the waitress was standing right by the table staring at both of us, waiting to see which one will move first. There are also meals I so regret paying for because only afterwards did I find out that dude has had a lot of Bitcoin for many fucking years.
I'm sorry. So sorry. Please accept my apology. But love is blind, and I was too blind to see.
So, other than awakening of our society on gender issues, what further complicates the pain dynamic in modern dating, I feel, is that the fast and casual dating climate enabled by apps like Tinder has severely eroded the erotic pleasure of paying for a date for many men. And that might be especially the case for a city like Hong Kong, which many people consider it as only a transient stop.
I'm sorry. So sorry. Please accept my apology. But love was blind, and I was too blind to see. On my duties, while tearing off a game of golf, I may make a play for the caddy, but when I do,
During my recent dating experience, I've heard more than one guy, and surprisingly all of them pretty cost-conscious, complain to me about how girls in Hong Kong tend to expect men to pay for everything. While I feel the fact that they mention this to me during a date itself is quite questionable, I believe it's simply a matter of mismatch. Because it's very clear that the financial situation and the dating pattern of these guys decide that they simply don't enjoy playing the game of traditional courtship. And whatever those girls are looking for, either a real sugar daddy or simply the dynamic of being courted, they are not going to find it in these type of shoebox abiding beta male types.
though I know you perfectly swell, that my heart belongs to Daddy, 'cause my Daddy, he treats it so well. There was a day that a football
Personally, while I consider myself a challenger of gender stereotypes on many levels, I gotta admit I do like it when a man picks up the check. It's like an irresistible foreplay, deeply ingrained, and it facilitates a certain power dynamic, which I think it's really more about sex than it is about money.
to Daddy, da 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 da. So I want to warn you, laddie.
And that's why I would rather go to an extremely affordable restaurant and a guy picks up the bill instead of going to some fancy restaurant where we end up splitting. Because let's be real, there is nothing sexy about two 30-something adults, sometimes one of them 40-something, puts 2 credit cards in one tray. It's kind of embarrassing. And let's not forget, this empowerment through paying goes both ways. Just like during sex, I do enjoy being on the top every now and then. At the moment of paying, I also like having the chance of saying, let me get this from time to time. I have definitely dated my share of financially struggling guys. So many so that my friends actually likes to make jokes that I must have an income cap when it comes to picking a guy's date. And yes, I do find power by footing the bill of an occasional extravagant meal when we were together.
My baby don't care for shows. My baby don't care for clothes. My baby just cares for me. My baby don't care for cars and races.
At the end of the day, it's really not the financial circumstance of a guy that concerns me the most. It's the intention and the overall experience that counts. And that often is not about money. A few years ago, I was dating a guy, and one evening, in the pretty initial phase of our interaction, we agreed to meet. So I asked him, okay, where do we go? And he said, just come downstairs at this specific hour. So when I went downstairs at 7 or 8 p.m., I saw him there waiting with a taxi. And turns out he was taking me to a secret spot up on the hill, and we were going to have a night picnic. The picnic itself was nothing fancy. It was just some like really simple snacks, and he brought music and lights. But I really loved it. The whole date actually cost him very little. But thinking back, I feel that's still one of the best dates I've ever had, because he really played a good game of courtship. And of course, he was well rewarded for that on that very evening.
Care for clothes. My baby just cares for me. My baby don't.
Having said all that, I guess I will still sweat over the bill paying moments in all my future first dates, and fucked up many of them because I will be frozen for a few seconds longer than appropriate. But I will live. And maybe I'll just drop the slow motion performance altogether and be more straightforward with what I want. Maybe I would just say, do you want to get this and I'll get the next one? Sometimes you'll only be able to find power if you have the freedom to give the power away.
My baby just cares for me.
So that's all for first episode of Sex and the Relationship. If you are still here, I hope that means you've enjoyed it. If that's the case, please feel free to share on whichever platform you are consuming it right now. And if there's any specific topic you want to hear about, feel free to let me know. If I do feel I have 2 cents to share, maybe I will talk about it in the future. And any questions or comments are very, very welcome. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day.